A not so promising injury update on a key Texas wide receiver. We've got the latest on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and remember to leave a comment. That's one of the fastest ways to help us grow right here on Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is right around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. We've got some sound from Colin Simmons and CJ Baxter. We also have to talk about the Manning Award watch list, which was released yesterday. But first, an unfortunate injury update for Texas football. Stanford transfer wide receiver Emmett Mosley V was one of the stars in the first week of Texas fall camp. Steve Sarkisian was raving about him. Wide receivers coach Chris Jackson was raving about him. It seemed like Mosley was off to a fast start to his Longhorn career, and it seemed like he was doing everything right, and it felt like he was going to be one of Texas's top receiving options for the Ohio State game, which is now just 15 days away. Well, we haven't heard a lot about Mosley since that fast start. Again, in the first week, he was generating all sorts of headlines, and all of the insider reports were raving about him, and it seemed like everything was good from Emmett Mosley V. But since then, the only thing we've really heard about Emmett Mosley is the fact that he sat out last Saturday's scrimmage dealing with a lower leg injury. And it sounds like that injury may still be bothering him, and it may be more serious than we initially thought. Like, not only did he miss that scrimmage last weekend, he's missed a lot of practice lately. And it sounds like it could be a re-aggravation of a lower leg injury that Emmett Mosley suffered in summer workouts that kept him out of a few summer workouts. The staff thought that everything had healed up, which is why he was out there so much early on in the fall. But I don't know if it's the exact same thing. I don't know if it's something related to it. Maybe it's something completely different. But either way, Emmett Mosley V is banged up right now, and he is dealing with some sort of lower leg injury. Scrimmage number 2 will take place tomorrow down on campus. I highly doubt Emmett Mosley V will be out there. And again, with that Ohio State game just 15 days away, it may be close to time to wonder if he's going to be ready to go by week 1 of the season, which, it would suck if he's not out there. You want all hands on deck for what may be the biggest game of the college football season here in 2025. It is number 1 versus number 3 after all, and there's so much on the line for that season opener. You want everybody out there, and Emmett Mosley's a stud. I loved the pickup. He put up great numbers in his only year at Stanford. 48 catches, 525 yards, 6 touchdowns. He did all of that in just 9 games. He missed the first month of the year rehabbing from an ACL injury that he suffered in his senior season of high school football. He looked like the real deal in Palo Alto once he came back, and he was looking like the real deal here in Austin as well. And, we talk about this a lot. This coaching staff keeps a pretty tight circle of trust in that wide receiver room. And it sounded like Mosley had done enough in his first few months on campus to get invited into that circle of trust, a seat at the cool kids table, if you will. He had been getting a ton of run with the first team offense. And again, it felt like he was going to be one of Texas's starting receivers in the first game of the season. Obviously, the hope is Emmett Mosley V is fine, and this isn't serious. Maybe they're just slow playing things a little bit to make sure that it doesn't get worse. Maybe they're just being overcautious here. It's Friday. We're being glass half full on the show. Who knows? And I do wonder if we'll get an update. Maybe the next time Steve Sarkisian addresses the media, we'll get some sort of insight to what's going on with Emmett Mosley V. But again, as of this moment in time, first game is 2 weeks from tomorrow. It feels safe to say that there's at least a chance that Emmett Mosley V is going to miss real action. So where would Texas go if the worst case scenario happens and Mosley can't suit up in game one? Well, for starters, I think that circle of trust would be down to three. Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore, Parker Livingston. Those three guys will be getting the most snaps against the Buckeyes should Mosley miss that game. Now, Mosley makes that circle four, so those other three guys would have been playing a lot anyways, but they are likely going to be asked to do a little more if Mosley can't go. Now, those three guys are great. Super excited to see what Ryan Wingo does in year two. DeAndre Moore was really good and put up some solid numbers in the games that Arch Manning started last season. And Parker Livingston's been one of the best storylines of fall camp to this point. So I'm excited about all three of those guys. But obviously, you need more than three wide receivers to get through a 60-minute football game, especially a game like that. So the question now becomes, who would get Emmett Mosley snaps if he's unavailable or even not 100% in game one? I think you'd have to look at the freshman class, and I think you would look at one freshman in particular. That's Khalil Lockett. Why? Why him? Well, three reasons. Number one, Lockett has looked really good in fall camp so far, and he's taken big strides from the end of the spring. Number two, he's an outside guy, which is what Emmett Mosley the fifth is. And number three, Khalil Lockett got some reps with the number ones late in last week's scrimmage. Again, Mosley wasn't out there. Your top three were Wingo, Moore, and Livingston. Sounds like, again, at least at one point during last Saturday's scrimmage, Khalil Lockett was working with Arch Manning in the rest of that first team offense. So all good reasons. Aaron Butler going into year two. We've talked about him a little bit. Dalen McCutcheon, true freshman. We've talked about him a little bit. Those guys are more slot guys. I mean, Butler's 6 foot, 170 pounds. McCutcheon listed at 5'11", $178. Meanwhile, Khalil Lockett, 6'2", 185. And you look at Emmett Mosley. Mosley's listed at 6'2", 110. So same height for those two. More of a typical outside wide receiver height. Obviously, Mosley's got 25 pounds of weight on the young Khalil Lockett. But Lockett, again, been working more on the outside with Texas so far, and that's more of a natural fit for him. Michael Terry III, I shouldn't say the other, because there's four true freshman wide receivers that the Longhorns brought in that 25 class. Michael Terry is the biggest of those four. He's 6'3", I think 215 pounds, and the good news is he's been really coming on as of late, but he wasn't a true wide receiver in high school. So he has the most to learn to get up to speed of any guy in that room. And I have a hard time thinking he'd be ready to get significant snaps in a matchup against one of the best teams in college football. Weeks 2 through 4, yeah, I expect to see Michael Terry III out there a lot, and maybe he proves enough in that stretch to where he's going to be a bigger part of things when we get to conference play in October. But at Ohio State, first game of the year, I'm not so sure about that. Khalil Lockett has looked really good. He plays the same position. He got reps with the number ones, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we hear that he's running with the number ones more in tomorrow's scrimmage. This guy is a dog, man. Number 2 wide receiver in this recruiting class, a top 20 player overall, track star in high school, so he's got the speed, huge hands, big arms, long wingspan. So even though he's only 6'2", he plays bigger than that. He's got great body control. He can make explosive plays too. 29 touchdowns during his high school career at Saxe. And you just look at what some of the freshman wide receivers in college football have done in the last few years. Maybe Lockett is that type of guy who has that type of impact for the Longhorn offense in 2025. Now, it may be tough because of the guys that Texas has in front of them. And again, because of the tight group that Sark and Chris Jackson generally keep on the outside. But let's just say Emmett Mosley misses time and Khalil Lockett gets his chance in game one. He might take it and run with it and quickly join the circle of trust too. So we'll see. Something to monitor. I feel like a jerk. It's Friday. Should be coming in with good news. And our first segment is talking about a guy who's hurt and might have to miss regular season action. We'll see if Mosley plays tomorrow. We'll see what kind of updates we get from Steve Sarkisian the next time he addresses the press. But if Mosley's out and this lower leg issue continues to hang around, it's a storyline that we're going to have to pay attention to And we're going to have to continue to keep tabs on Khalil Lockett and see what he does and see what the rest of the plans are in that wide receiver room. So there you go. We'll take your thoughts on Emmett Mosley, on Khalil Lockett. What would you do if Mosley has to miss time? What would your plan be for Texas on the outside? Again, their top three is pretty damn good. With Mosley out there, their top four is pretty damn good. Got a lot of inexperience beyond that. I wonder who the coaches trust the most should somebody go down. All right, there's segment number one. Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Yesterday after practice, Texas held a player availability down on campus. We've got some sound from Colin Simmons and CJ Baxter talking about their expectations for the upcoming season. We'll let you hear from a couple of Longhorn stars next on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Wayfair. As summer winds down, there's something nice about getting back into a routine that you love. And if you're like me, you're going to be spending a lot more time at home in the fall when football season rolls around. Wayfair makes it super easy to get set up for the season ahead. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room to patio furniture, Wayfair is your one-stop shop to refresh your home or apartment or wherever you live. What I like about Wayfair, it's super easy. I don't want to spend all of my time driving around Austin, going to big box stores and looking at stuff. No, I want to shop from the comfort of my own home and get everything delivered right to my place. The delivery's fast and it's free, even for something big. It's super convenient to shop at Wayfair. I'm telling you, the perfect time to get your place ready for the fall. Knock out those honeydew items before the season gets here so you don't have to worry about it when the games arrive. Get organized, get refreshed, and get back to your routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. It's Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. 4 bits of sound from Texas's player availability last night. 2 from Colin Simmons, 2 from CJ Baxter. We'll let you hear from Colin Simmons first. Of course, led Texas in sacks as a true freshman in 2024. He was named the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year in college football. I mean, what a debut for Colin Simmons in year 1. What's he going to do for an encore? Well, we'll let you hear from him. Colin Simmons was asked if he's more comfortable going into year 2. Here's what he said.
Hella comfortable. I feel way more comfortable than I was my freshman year, especially with knowing the playbook and just, flying around out there having fun. And, that's really the main thing with me is just having fun out there. I don't want to think it's like a job or anything or like, something that I have to do. Just go out there, have fun, do what I'm supposed to do my assignment and get better as a team.
Hella comfortable. Colin Simmons says he's much more comfortable going into his sophomore year than he was his freshman year. And he also talked about knowing the playbook a lot more now than he did last year. So he was able to lead one of the best defenses in the nation in sacks as a true freshman, despite not knowing the full playbook and despite not starting a single game. That's the crazy part of what Colin Simmons was able to do. Yeah, he played in every game, but he didn't start one game in 2024, still had 9 sacks, still was one of the best pass rushers in college football, and obviously did enough to earn a ton of preseason accolades going into year 2. So he was uncomfortable last year. Now he's hella comfortable this year. Watch out, SEC. Colin Simmons is coming. One more from the star edge rusher. Colin Simmons was asked about goals for 2025. You get a little back and forth between him and one of the members of the Texas press. Here's Colin Simmons talking about his individual goals, but also his goals for the defensive line.
Is there a number?
Yes, there's a number. Do I want to say the number? No. Do y'all know the number? Yes. I just want to go. I want to go make it happen. It's done. I'm done talking about it. I'm done. I'm done saying that I want to do this. I'm just gonna go do it.
What about leading, the team leading the nation in sacks?
That's the edge. That's the edge room goal. Is for us as a collective, for us as a defensive unit to lead the SEC in sacks.
So there you go, Colin Simmons. That number that he was referencing at the beginning of that bit of sound was the single-season sack record. Colin Simmons, on the record earlier this offseason, talked about wanting to break Kiki Deayala's Texas single-season sack record, which is 22.5, which is absolutely insane. No other Longhorn has had 15 sacks in a season. And Kiki back in 1982 had 22.5 sacks in only 11 games. So Colin Simmons would have to be otherworldly good to break that record. Here's the good news. If Texas goes on a deep playoff run once again, he'll have more opportunities to get there. But again, Simmons is going to have to be sensational for that to happen. I love the confidence. He talked a lot about that yesterday as well. He's an incredibly confident kid. He didn't mention the number yesterday, but he said, y'all know what it is. That's the number that we know. And I like Simmons talking about team goals as well. He wants the Longhorns to lead the SEC in sacks. I think Texas could lead the nation in sacks with how much talent they have on that defensive front. They were 4th last year. So to think that they can move up a few spots and be number 1 this year, I don't think it's too out of the question. All right, flipping over to the offensive side of the ball. How about CJ Baxter? Man, I love hearing from CJ Baxter. Incredibly bright young man, super eloquent. And he's just so happy right now to be back on the field. He smiled so much during his presser yesterday. You could tell he's just pumped to be back out there after missing all of 2024. The very first question posed to CJ Baxter, are you 100%? Here's what he said.
I feel great. One day at a time is the big saying I like to say every day. Just one day at a time. Coach Sark, the training staff, they wouldn't put me in if I wasn't ready to go. So.
You took hits in the scrimmage. Mm-hmm. What was that feel?
Felt great. I joked with my dad. I was more excited to get tackled than score a touchdown. So.
I don't know if I've ever seen somebody so happy to get hit. I mean, CJ Baxter said it felt great when he took his first hit during a last weekend scrimmage. That smile is contagious, man. You're so happy for him. He's worked incredibly hard. He talked a lot about his rehab and what it took to get back to this spot. He's a supreme talent. I can't wait to see what he does on the field in 2025, but he's a hard kid to root against. Super nice guy, super respectful, and again, a great speaker, and happy for CJ Baxter. So it sounds like he's 100%. We've talked about this a lot over the last couple of weeks. I think it's time to raise your expectations on CJ Baxter in 2025. He's practicing right now. He's going through drills. He's out there with the first team offense. He's cutting. He's going full speed. He's taking hits. He's not wearing a non-contact jersey or anything like that. I mean, he looks like a guy, I've said this multiple times, like if you didn't know he was coming off of a serious knee injury, you would think he's perfectly fine, just like everybody else. So good news for him. Good news for Texas. One more from CJ Baxter. He was asked where he feels like his game has improved since the last time he was out on the field in 2023.
I definitely think I'm smarter. Me being around the team was big because I don't think I didn't play last year physically, but I think I got very, became a real student of the game because in practices I would have a script. I would be behind the line of scrimmage, looking at the whole field. During games, Coach Choice and the running backs, they will let me get the iPad, and they will let me be like, hey, what did you see, things like that. And I think that's helped me a lot because now when I'm on the field, it's like, just to play calm. I know what I got to do, execute it. So I think yeah.
Sign of a good teammate right there, right? Not only traveling with the team and hanging out on the sideline, but paying attention, looking at the iPad, listening to what the coaches had to say, and offering support to the guys who were out there on the field toting the rock for Texas. That's what I love to hear. And maybe this is like an apples to oranges comparison, but I'm going to say it anyways. We're still talking about fruit here. When a quarterback goes from college to the NFL, like a lot of teams will try to let him rest, like maybe sit out for his first season, maybe sit out for the first month, just so we could kind of observe from the sideline and see what the game is like. Last year, that was kind of the thing for CJ Baxter. Remember, he started his very first game of his college career in 2023. He was the starter over Jonathan Brooks in that season. So he was thrown into the fire right away. And he didn't really have time to just sit on the sideline and observe and see how the speed of the game was and how everything worked. He just was out there and played a lot, obviously, in his first season. Last year, he had that chance to just kind of take it all in. I know it sucks. He wanted him out there. He wanted to be out there. It sounds like CJ Baxter made the most of his opportunities to just sit back and learn a little bit more about the game. And he's talking about how he feels smarter as a tailback now than he did the last time he was on the field. So, again, maybe a little bit different. Quarterbacks, running backs, whatever. But CJ Baxter had to go directly from high school football to playing right away in college. And he had some extra time to kind of figure some things out. Hopefully that will pay dividends for him now that he is back on the field. All right, what say you? Colin Simmons, CJ Baxter. Excited for both of them. What are your expectations for those two in 2025? One segment to go on a Friday show. The Manning Award watch list was released yesterday, and Arch Manning wasn't on there. Sound the alarms. At least that's what everybody else is doing. We'll talk about it when we return. This is Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your shot for MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before the season even kicks off, this is your moment. You think Josh Allen wins MVP again? Does Lamar Jackson win it again? Is Patrick Mahomes, you taking one of the favorites, or you think there's going to be a long shot? Who wins the Super Bowl this year? You going with the Eagles back-to-back? You think Kansas City reclaims their spot at the top? Doesn't matter. Maybe you're a Cowboys fan. Maybe you're a Texans fan, thinking one of the two Texas teams are going to win it. If you're a Cowboys fan, you can just, give me the money instead. I'll take your bet on that one. Shout out to FanDuel, though. I'm telling you, they've got you covered. August 26th, FanDuel Futures Day. It is one day, and it is one day only. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now. It's FanDuel. Play your game. All right, back here on Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Every year, the Manning Award is given out to the best quarterback in college football, as voted on by the Sugar Bowl Committee. And every year, before the year, the Manning Award releases a watch list of players that they are tracking during the season. It's pretty typical, right? Pretty much every college football award has some sort of preseason watch list. What's not so typical is the quarterback who is the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy and the starter on the top-ranked team in America not being on this list. And that's the case for Arch Manning. And, of course, it's even more hilarious and more noteworthy because, well, the award has his last name on it, and his uncles, Peyton and Eli, and his grandfather, Archie, they get to vote on this award. There were 27 QBs who made the cut, including some guys that I've never heard of, some guys that you've probably never heard of, like Middle Tennessee State's quarterback is on there. Florida International's quarterback is on there. East Carolina's Old Dominion, I thought that was a band. They're on there. Even some guy named Marcole Reed is on there. See what I did there? Shout out Aggie fans. No Arch Manning. And of course, because this is a story that involves Arch, this is generating a ton of buzz online. My God, he's not even a top 27 quarterback in college football. His own family thinks he sucks. How overrated is this guy? Stop. I think if you're tuned into this show, you're smarter than that. I'll say this. Everybody who's on the watch list, all 27 of those guys, started at least half of their team's games in the 2024 season. Arch Manning, of course, only started 2. The Manning watch list also has a rule that says no transfers or newcomers can make the cut either. So there's some other big names who aren't on there. Moneyline Mateer, Nico Amalivia for more NIL money, Carson Cavender at Miami, Carson Beck. Those guys aren't on the list either. So Arch isn't the only big-name quarterback with high expectations who didn't make the cut. Basically, you had to play a lot, and you had to stay at whatever school you were on last year to make this list. Arch started 2 games. He threw 90 passes all season. His numbers, albeit very impressive considering the lack of snaps, they don't stack up to everyone else on this list. Other awards don't have those kind of caveats. This one does. Archie Manning released a statement about this list too. I think maybe because of the public outcry to his grandson not being on there. Archie said, quote, "We're looking forward to another exciting year of college football. I'd like to thank the Sugar Bowl for continuing to build the tradition of the Manning Award, which is now over 20 years of honoring the top quarterbacks in the country for the entire football season. This year, we have another great group on our preseason watch list. In October, we'll review the transfers and other newcomers and then boost the watch list from the best from that group," end quote. It's important to remember that you don't have to be on a preseason award watch list to win the award after the season. I think everyone should know that by now, but I'll say it anyways because some people online clearly don't. So there you go, another Arch Manning headline. And by the way, shout out to the Manning family for not changing up their rules just to put their nephew or grandson on the list. Make them earn it. That's kind of been the approach for the whole Manning family since Arch got the campus, right? Not taking NIL money until he was the starter, not trying to be bigger than anybody else in the program, putting his head down, working hard, trying to earn the respect of those guys in that locker room. That's what Arch has been all about from day one. It's kind of been the whole mantra of the Manning family since the college career started. I like that. And I'm sure if Arch was on the list, people would be complaining about the Manning watch list or the Manning Award breaking their rules to give their next of kin preferential treatment. Just can't win. Can't win when you're talking about Arch Manning. Oh, my God. Can we just get to the games, please? Can we get to the games, please? 15 days away. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll have Longhorn football back on our television screens, and that is a beautiful thing. And hopefully that's the start of Arch Manning winning the Manning Award. Davey O'Brien, the Heisman Trophy, SEC Championship, National Championship. We want it all. I'm greedy. I want my cake, and I want to eat it too, because what's the point of having cake if you can't eat it, right? 15 days. We're almost there, Texas fans. But we are to the weekend. Congratulations on making it to the weekend, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Longhorns. If you made it this far, please remember to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. Really appreciate y'all making us a part of your day. For your next listen, check out Locked On Bets with my man Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers. They are your one-stop shop for all of your sports betting needs. Speaking of futures bets, you can find some of those with Locked On Bets. Find that show on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Plenty of scrimmage recap on Monday, and we will really start to hone in on our Ohio State preview next week. Oh, yeah, so close. I can taste it. Really appreciate y'all watching. Have a great weekend. Until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.